Hi, everybody. Happy to have you here with me in the locker room today. I'm Alan Locher. We've got a great conversation ahead as we dive into the new indie drama, Exit Interviews. Joining me are the film star Tuc Watkins and writer-director Garrett Abdo. Tuc will share what it was like working on this film and working with the incredible on-screen actors he shares a screen with, including Adam Huss, who you all know from General Hospital, and Garrett will tell us where this story came from, a deeply personal idea born from wondering what we might learn if we could sit across from our exes, not for closure or blame, but to truly understand ourselves. We'll also get the scoop on the film's world premiere at Film Out San Diego later this month. And please welcome to the locker room, Tuc Watkins and Garrett Abdo. Gentlemen,
Hello. How are you,
hello.
Alan?
Hi,
Thank you.
Alan.
Good to see you, Tuc. Pleasure to meet you, Garrett.
Nice to meet you.
Um, love the film. The film is truly powerful with a unique look at relationships. And Garrett, it's so true what you said about the film that everyone who has ever loved, lost, and loved will find themselves here. And I really do think throughout the film, especially with the voiceover, you feel different things at different times.
Oh, absolutely. And Tuck was such a big collaborator on this film. He really helped shape a lot of it. He worked with each of the individual actors on their scenes as well, tweaking everything. I mean, I am like so over the moon with how well this film turned out and all of their incredible performances.
Yeah,
And we had an incredible cast. I mean, an incredible crew as well.
that's
Oz,
awesome.
yeah, I'm very thrilled.
Tuck, what drew you to the film and to the role of Robert?
Well, let's see. I know what it's like to endow someone else with the ability to determine my happiness. And I saw Jonathan doing that over and over and over in this movie. And I thought, yeah, I get it. I get it. And I kind of wondered, what would it be like? So I went through all of my personal exes in my head. I'm not going to name all of them right now, but I went through all of them. I was like, what if I talked to him? What if I talked to him? What if I talked to him? What would that be like? And it's a pretty scary prospect, and I thought it would be difficult. I thought it would be difficult to play a guy who, we've all got blind spots, and I felt like I as an actor knew where Jonathan's blind spots were, and I thought it would be difficult to play a guy whose blind spots I could see, but not comment on those blind spots or try to change those blind spots or fix them prior to playing the character. And I met with Garrett, and he was open to collaborating. And I got to say, my favorite form of acting is independent filmmaking. I think it you never you're never sure if it's going to work, and it's so exciting. It's so exciting because things go wrong and you lose a location, or you lose the sun, you lose an actor, all this stuff happens, and you have to figure out how to keep the boat moving forward. And I just find that so exhilarating. I find that really exciting. And Garrett seemed like the kind of guy that I thought we could work together on this and figure it out as we went along, and we did, and it was a really satisfying experience.
Collaboration on something like this, which is deeply personal to Garrett, must also be rewarding.
Yeah, well, yes, because it's the having Tuck play Robert was a dream come true. I mean, this is a guy that is leading the whole pack. He's got to carry the film. He is every shot,
I know.
literally,
Like,
literally every shot, and to have the powerful a couple of the performances I literally had to watch in my bedroom with a portable monitor and the door closed, because I was either bawling my eyes out because of their performance, especially him and Adam. these two guys did 10 takes of one of the most powerful
Yeah.
scenes in the movie, both literally really crying 10 times in a row. I don't know how they did it.
Wow.
The key to low budget independent filmmaking, hire soap opera actors.
Yes, I
Plain and
agree.
simple. The range of emotions, how quick they had their lines, how incredible they worked off each other. Just to watch these perform, I think I was really watching the film being made as a fan of all of them and as a fan of acting more so than directing. There was nothing to direct. There was really nothing to direct. Hand them the script and they killed it. Plain and simple.
I love that. You said the idea for the film came from a sense of emotional unfinished business. Can you talk about that and how it evolved into the script that became Exit Interviews?
Sure. Well, my husband and I separated, and now divorced, but separated 6 years ago. And over these years, I'd never dated really, as a gay man, and trying to maneuver in this day and age, you got a lot to learn if you've never done it before, and it's horrible out here. I can tell you that much. I don't know how it is anywhere else, but in Atlanta, nobody even wants to date. So I don't know. It was maybe a year and a half ago. I made a quip to somebody. I'm like, I got to do exit interviews and find out why is this not working? What is going on here? And then I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So I notated it. I have a whole notepad in my phone for these type of things. And then it just kind of built upon itself and built upon itself. And then I had 3 longer relationships in just a 1-year period, and just took so much information from it and so much growth out of those relationships. And so basically, each one of these is an emotion more than a person. So it's a culmination of, I felt this emotion with maybe 2, 3, 4 people. And it's just how it all comes together as a fictional character. And Robert is of course, a fictional character of myself. And I got to tell you, when you're writing and you in your mind are sitting across the table from a fictional version of yourself, and you have to tell that character what they're doing wrong, the writing the script sent me back to therapy. It was but now it's incredibly cathartic. I think there's been a lot of personal healing from not only writing it, but then getting to film it and watch it. And now I watch it before I go out on a date, going, all right, what am I not going to make the mistake of this time?
That's amazing. But I think people viewing it, anybody watching it, will have those sort of emotions
Sure.
and feelings that it's gonna make them think about their own history.
Well, that's why I think it's so universal. I mean, it's about love, loss, and self-reflection. So, I've shown it that, I've shown the trailer to plenty of my straight friends, and, I'm like, what would it be like if you sat across from your exes? And one guy said, I'd have to have a bulletproof vest to do it. And another guy said, there's no way that's ever going to happen. So they get it. They get the feeling that you would get from something like this. Everybody, it really is, and I'm not patting myself or anybody on the back, but it's such a unique look at relationships that I think it's everybody. It's a mirror. To me, it's a mirror held up for everybody to look at themselves.
Did you always intend for the voiceovers to be as big a role? Because I think that really adds.
Actually, they were even. That's where I really released a lot of emotion and Tuc and I knew I was writing very long ones, and then that gave Tuc the ability to go, all right, let's narrow this down to this and just get the poignant parts of it. And let me tell you, that man right there, incredible voiceover actor. I mean, just incredible.
It hits. It hit.
It really does.
they hit. There's a lot of emotions that come through. Tuck, the film's answers have been described as raw, funny, and brutally honest. How, as the lead, do you balance those moments with the true, deeper emotional, truths that were coming out on screen?
Well, I think I kind of thought about, like, if I were to do this, how would I go about doing it? And I realized, I think if I collected all my exes and wanted to interview them, I would make the mistake of sitting down and trying and attempt to make myself understood.
Mm.
I would want to sit down and I would want them to understand where I was coming from and why I did what I did, et cetera, et cetera. And I would have made the mistake of, I think, talking too much, not listening, and just trying to be understood and why they were wrong. Because that's kind of what I think that's when you break up with someone, you have like that final conversation. I think that's what I did in most of those conversations, and I probably should have listened. So when I was reading the script, I was kind of editing, like, there every now and then. I always want to call this guy Jonathan, because you never say your own character's name. His name's Robert. I always wanted to change what Garrett had written for Robert to say, because I didn't want him to say it. I didn't want Robert to say things like, "When did you know you were falling in love with me?" Or like, "What did you like about me?" Because it's presumptuous, and I feel like, don't say that. It's presumptuous for you to say that. But what I had to remember was, it wasn't me doing it, and you have to use the tools that the character has, not the tools that you wish that he had. So
Mhm.
it was effortful to do these scenes and actually listen and respond to what was said, as opposed to blah 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 what you're saying. Wait till you hear what I have to say, because I got a zinger. And it wasn't until we actually started doing the scenes with the other actors, and the idiosyncrasies that they brought, that I as an actor actually really listened, and then was able to take something from it. And I don't think, personally, I don't think, if I were to do this as an exercise, I would do it very productively. So it was sort of a challenge to try to channel it in a way that would create some productivity for this guy to learn from by the end of the movie.
Let's be honest, I don't know that many, if they went and did this, would do it productively. I mean, your intent might be to be
Yeah.
productive, but it's a difficult task at hand. I definitely would say. Garrett, what was it like casting? Where did you find everybody?
Oh,
And did you share openly at the beginning that it was a deeply personal story?
yeah, of course. And but also pointing out it's fiction. You
Right.
know, these are amalgamations of a bunch of people all kind of put together. Um, coming out as one character. One of the things, though, about Tuck, what you were just saying, what I absolutely loved was the way, after the first interview, you said, I don't think I'm very good at this. Being the interviewer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we watched your character grow and get better questions. So you had to start with, what did you like about me? Because then
Yeah.
we say, oh God, I'm horrible at this. Let me ask better questions. And we see that. We see the growth of the character, in that. So for casting, this movie I didn't do this movie. The universe did this movie.
Mm.
So I'm writing I'll take you back 3 years ago. I get a Facebook message from a guy saying, "Hey, do you own this house? I'm looking at buying it, and we're going to go back." And it was our family house that I was selling. And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, we're going back for a second look, and we're probably going to buy it." I'm like, "Great." And then he comes back and says, "Well, do you know Dave Chappelle?" well, and these were Facebook messages. I'm like, well, there's pictures of me and Dave on there. I'm like, yeah. He goes, I ran Steadicam for Dave for Kennedy Center Honors. I'm like, oh, what a weird coincidence. And you're buying my house. And then we stayed in touch. And then last October, as I'm writing this script, he says, guess what? I'm running Steadicam for Rolling Loud, which is Matt Rife's movie that he just did with Owen Wilson. And I'm the guy that discovered Matt when he was 16 years old and built his career. I'm like, oh, wow, another crazy coincidence. So then I finished writing it, and I'm starting to think tone and how I want it to look, and the whole temperature of the film. And I kept coming back to this incredible shot in Moonlight. Uh, there's a Steadicam shot that goes as he's going into the school. It's always stuck with me. It was such a powerful shot. Well, guess what? Ozzy was the one who shot that scene. So I reached out to him. I said, look, obviously the universe wants you on this. Can I send you this script? And he did something I don't think I've ever had done before. He read the script overnight. I
Hmm.
don't think that happens very often. And immediately said, I'm in. So then we got a producer. We started talking about that. And they brought to me a casting director, Jeremy O'Keefe. And I almost made the biggest mistake, what would have been the biggest mistake of my career, because he wanted way more than I had budgeted. And I was like, I don't know if we can do that. And they're like, you want this guy? And I'm like, okay. And when I tell you, this guy cast this movie in December, nothing happens in Hollywood in December. There are no agents to get, and yet it was done. And we shot January 14th was the first day of shooting.
Wow.
So it's crazy. And I was so thrilled with the cat. It was like perfect. So I really feel like this was all energy and all taken care of already by the universe. I had, I just drove the
But
train.
the other thing to add to this topic is actors don't do independent film for the money, because we all know that there isn't any money. So you don't really negotiate for more money, because you understand that it's not there, and you don't get involved. In my experience, and I kind of learned this the hard way a long time ago, but it has turned into a really positive thing. You don't get involved in an independent film, a low budget independent film, unless you love the part, you love the script, you're interested in working with the other people involved. Because if you don't get in the same boat with everyone else, it's just going to be a miserable experience. You're going to make it miserable for yourself, and you're going to make it miserable for everybody else. So you don't get involved in a lot of them, because the things don't line up that you need to say yes to in order to go through boot camp with everybody. So, but if you can check those boxes, I like the part, I like the script, I like the writer director, I like the other people who are involved. You go do a Snickers commercial to make your money, and you work on stuff like this because you can't help but not want to do it. It's like doing skits in your parents' garage when you're a kid. You love it. You can't help but not do it. So I think, and Garrett did a really good job, and maybe his casting director was part of it, of pulling people together who subscribe to that formula. And I don't think there's anybody involved that I can think of that didn't subscribe to that formula. And so it made the really difficult stuff. It felt like we were all in it together. We're going to all figure this out, rather than, that's not my job, that's you. You got to do that. There's none of that. So that's the formula for making good independent film, I think.
It sounds, Tuck, like if another independent came your way and it fit those criteria, you would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I did. In fact, I did one, right after the one that I did with Garrett, called Death on the Brandywine. And
Rena Sofer, Walt Willey, Kate Burton, right?
Yeah. And but that's more of a coincidence that those happened together, because I haven't done, there hasn't been one that I've wanted to do since. But there will be, there will be, and we beggars can't be choosers all the time, but like if you're running out of work as an actor, you don't do an independent film because you're going to go even deeper in the hole sometimes.
Right. Right.
Well, Tuck, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're already cast in my next 2 projects. So just, I'll let you know the dates we start.
Okay. Well, but now I trust Garrett, so that would probably be a smoother path towards.
Well,
doing
talk
something like
about
that.
collaborating. Did you hit it off from the beginning? And what was he like? I mean, this is his directorial debut. What was it like collaborating?
Well, let's see. So we, after I read the script, I said, "Are you open to collaborating?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Great." And so I think I did a pass, and then we met, and I said, "Well, what do you think about sort of like condensing this and things like that?" And Garrett was always open to it, but he wasn't a pushover, because part of collaborating is arguing, but it's how you argue. And sometimes it is arguing. I mean, collaborating sometimes is fighting. Sometimes it's, I think your idea is terrible. I think that's a terrible idea. I really don't think we should do that. But figuring out how to fight fair, and because you both know that you're gunning for the same, the end game.
Yes.
And there were times, I can't. Well, Garrett can probably think of a few, but we would on. I think we would talk about scenes before we shot them, so we weren't wasting time on set.
All right.
If I wanted to rewrite something, I would rewrite it, and I would show it to him, like the night before or the week before or something like that, and we would hammer it out before we actually did it. But I think, sometimes our collaborating, most of the time, it was amiable, it was easy, and every now and then, I would think he was fucking crazy, and and I think sometimes here's an example where I thought I was absolutely right, and I think Garrett was actually right, and I was wrong. There's a joke. There's a joke with my female friend in the restaurant where I'm talking about how much sex I'm having.
All right.
And I
Yeah.
and I said she should say, "I can't believe your dick hasn't fallen off yet." And Garrett said, "Okay, I like the joke, but she should say, I can't believe it hasn't fallen off yet." I said, "No, we need to hear the word dick out of her mouth. It'll be really funny." He's like, "No, it's too much." I was like, "You're wrong." But we shot it his way. Did we shoot it my way too? I don't remember. Anyway,
honestly, I don't remember.
Anyway, we shot it. The version that's in the film is Garrett's version, and when I saw it, I was like, Garrett was right. Yeah. Right.
Well, that's just because of my comedy background. There's times that you go full frontal, and there's times that masking it makes it funnier.
But what's tough when you're working with someone and you're not doing it just by yourself, when you're working with someone, when you feel like you are absolutely right, it's really hard to back down if you're that confident that you're correct. But I've been around long enough to know that my instinct, when I feel like I'm absolutely right, is often wrong.
I mean, this almost sounds like an exit interview, like
right.
That would come up in an exit interview.
I'm not going to let him be an ex. He stays with me for a while. He's not going anywhere. No, there were a couple of personally, for me, my memory of it all is he would go home at night, and then the next morning at 7 a.m. I'm looking at a text of 7 different pages with red lines on it, and I'm reading through it. I'm like, okay, that's good, but let's keep this. And he'd be like, no, why? No. And then once I would explain, you're only looking at this piece. You've got to see how this fits into the entire puzzle of it. And once I would explain why, he would go, oh, okay, now I get it. It's really only that a couple of things that he was like, "Ugh, I really don't want it like that," but the give and take between us and the respect, and he showed me this is Tuc Watkins. I don't know if you know that. This is Tuc Watkins. Anything he says, as far as I'm concerned, is right. But he gave me the respect as the director, and this is my baby, to let me shape those certain things, which it's the definition of collaboration, give and take.
Yeah.
Very true. What was the biggest challenge for you, Garrett, on your first feature? Creative, logistical, emotional? How did you solve it? And please tell everybody in how many days you shot this, which shocked me.
uh, Honestly, there was nothing. When I tell you the universe took over, the universe took over. I mean, if we needed something, it was there. We had a snowstorm roll in. That was a little challenge. We had to cut short one day. We did about half a day because the snowstorm was rolling in, and then the next day we only got half a day in to get everybody up there and everything. But we had only scheduled 9 days to do the show. Originally it was 10, and then by the time we sat down to really do everything, I'm like, 9. We can do this in 9, and here's how we're doing it. And then we actually shot it in 8 days.
Yeah.
And Tuck's nickname for me was Mr. I Don't Need 9 Days. And then the 9th day, we just spent doing the extra day. We did a lot of pickups in the kitchen, and Tuck rewrote some stuff to give it, and thank God he did. It made everything flow so much better, and the coverage that we had. And my editor, Matthew Gorbachev, is just phenomenal editor, and he understands my vision. And I didn't even have to say anything. I just gave him it, and he put it together, and there it was, and then we just tweaked from there. So there really weren't that many challenges, honestly. Once I had this cast
Right.
and the crew that Ozzy brought, it was kind of easy, actually.
Yeah, we were going to have a T-shirt that said on a 9-day film shoot, what do you do on the 9th day? We only needed 8.
We only needed 8.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Tuck, you're working with an incredible ensemble: Thomas Dekker, Ray Santiago, Joseph Haro, Adam Huss. What did those co-stars, I think Garrett was saying, like, you worked on each individual sort of interview. What did the co-stars unlock, do you think, in Robert that might not have been on the page?
They're all pretty dreamy. So when each one showed up, I was kind of prepared to fight. I was kind of prepared to disagree. I was kind of prepared to make my point. But you kind of melt when, I mean, at some point, I don't know if I loved all of them or my character loved all of them, but he certainly felt something visceral. And so when each of those guys showed up, and I had sort of a preconceived notion of what that scene was going to be, and then they embodied it as a human being, I kind of melted each time one of those guys would show up. What I was saying earlier about idiosyncrasies was I kind of knew, well, this is how the scene's going to go. But they brought their own stuff like actors do. And I found that I really had to, I as an actor and Robert as the character had to do the same thing, which was listen to what they're saying, as opposed to wait for them to stop talking so I can say my next line. Because don't you do that in an argument with someone in real life? Like, I know what I'm going to say next, so stop talking.
You're prepared.
Yeah.
Well, and you also might have been prepared thinking what that person you were in a relationship might say about you or the relationship. So you probably
but you learn in acting. Good acting is reacting, and as trite as that is, it's true. Because I think some of the most interesting shots that I can think of in performances that I like, the actor I like isn't talking. They're they're listening or they're reacting. And there's a lot of that in this movie. There's a lot of one-on-one conversations, and I think Garrett and Matt, our really good editor, found is that a lot of times when I was talking, I was like, why isn't the camera on me? I'm talking. But it's because what was interesting
we're getting the
was
right.
the other guy's reaction to what I was saying.
Every actor in this film projected the most incredible micro expressions I've ever seen. Tuc was killing it with just slight movements and eye move, and that's what I really watch. Your eye movements. It shows your thinking as the character, and then the expression, and then there's one scene. Thomas Dekker scene is one of my favorite because
He's Joseph.
yeah, as Joseph. It's one of the nicest scenes. It's these two characters truly cared about each other and had a great time, and there was no animosity ever between the two of them. And there's one point where he just where Thomas as the actor just slightly bites his lip, and to me, every time I see that, it's like, oh my God, it's so brilliantly tiny, and it projects so much on film. And I and all of them, if you when you watch the film, watch each character, because each one of these actors has these little Nick Haglin, who plays Travis. When you when you say what you say to him, and Tuck wrote that line, and I was like, oh my God, he wrote the line. You said, "Look at you, your dad called you a fag, and now you're married to a man." And when I read that line, I was like, damn. Okay, you really want to say this? And brilliant, because of the reaction to the line.
Yeah.
And and Nick's as the actor is like staring at the camera, and then he just looks down a second and he sits back, and you see him take a breath, and then he leans forward right into it and goes at him. I didn't leave because I didn't want to be here, and he goes after Robert, and it's like, wow, it's beautiful. And Joseph Haro, in one scene right before he reveals his true feelings, he did this deep swallow, and we could hear it. We could hear him take this deep swallow before he says the line, and we lost it in the sound edit. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I want that louder. I want to make sure I hear him do that hard swallow before he delivers his line. They're just also such brilliant actors. I'm thrilled with all of them and the whole performances. It's incredible.
They're all great. Was there one interview, as the director, and then you, Tuck, as Robert, that changed sort of the film for you in the process? Like sitting across from, those, I had all their names in front of me. Where'd it go? Joey and Santi and
Well, it wasn't. Go ahead, Garrett.
No, I was just going to say the build, and it was shot a little bit out of order, but the build of the interviews, his interview with Adam as Christopher is so emotional, so deep, and it's like anybody who's ever had a breakup, they're gonna cry. I'm having a hard time right now. Just
yeah, it was a tough one.
It is, and that was the one that was physically draining on me to watch. And if you take any breakup you've ever had, and then you're making a fictional version of, and it's not just about an ex, it's a couple. You break up a lot, right? So you put all that together into a fictional character, man, that thing just punches you. It really does. And I had to, like I said, I had to hide in my bedroom with the door closed and a portable monitor, because I'm like, I can't watch this. I'm gonna fall apart.
Oh yeah, if I was watching these guys do this live, I think I would have been crying a lot throughout, because yeah, crazy.
Well, I think one of the challenges to all these scenes is if you're going to get together with this many exes, there's going to be a lot of earnestness. There's going to be a lot of heartfelt moments. There's going to be a lot of hard truths. And I think one of the challenges that we put in front of ourselves is to find the humor and find where can we breathe, where can we let out some steam, because if it's one long drive of why a relationship doesn't work or what's wrong with somebody, it can become monotonous. And I think one of the things that we always kept on the front burner was where can we find surprises? Where can we lean into the unexpected? And a lot of that came on the day. A lot of that came in the mistakes. I love mistakes in movies and in performances that get recorded, and the actor doesn't stop. Those are so exciting to me, and we had some of those and leaned into those.
Because you're saying some of those end up being great moments on film, right?
Yeah. I mean, I can think of some times. One of the things that you learn early on is never cut yourself. It's you and I think I learned it when I was doing the soap opera, and at the time it was because, look, kid, we don't have time for you to get your line exactly right. If you don't run into the furniture or throw up on Erica Slezak, then we're going to keep going. And so I did learn early on, work through your mistake, lean into the mistake. And you hear actors that you know, movie stars that you admire say the same thing. So I thought it must be true. And I can think of work I've done in the past where I screwed up, but I didn't stop and I kept going or tried to fix it. And oftentimes that's the take that they use, because you've suddenly stopped doing something you've prepared and you are acting off the cuff. And that's always fun to watch. It's always fun to watch someone do something that they don't know that they're going to do, or you can tell that they're acting without a net, or they're not saying a scripted line. That stuff is so magnetic, and I think we found some of that stuff in this movie.
And sometimes gold. Well, one of your exes wanted to come and say hello. Please, everybody, welcome Adam Huss.
Hey.
Hello.
There's handsome Adam. Hi, Adam. How are you doing?
Hey.
I'm good. Can you hear me okay? Lighting's okay? Okay.
We can. We can. How are you, Adam?
I'm good. I'm so happy to be able to jump on and talk to three people I really love.
well, tell us what it was like working with Tuc and Garrett on this project.
Yeah, no pressure, Adam.
Yeah.
We're just watching.
Garrett's here. No, we had an amazing time. I mean, you know, I got approached about the movie, and when I read it, because you get approached, I'm sure, Tuc, you probably maybe even said this, you get approached a lot about scripts and you read stuff and you're like, oh, okay. Right away I was like, whoa, this is a great concept. I feel this, like, I love this journey of visiting your exes, like, as exit interviews. It was the concept's right there. Like, why hasn't someone done it before? But I just felt like it was a really fresh take on it. And then when I met with Garrett, he was awesome to talk to, and I loved his vision. I loved his vibe. And then I heard Tuc was going to be on, and I was like really excited because I'm a big fan and I've watched his work, and I knew having him as the lead and me being his ex, that was going to be a really dynamic thing to play. So I was very excited.
Well, we were all talking about the scene between you. It is quite emotional, and I think Garrett said you did it 10 times with the same amount of tears.
Thank you. I mean, again, I had a great person to play off of. And yeah, it was the writing. It was that moment for me of all that. It just felt so, I said this maybe I said to you, Alan, I don't know, but I said to someone that, you know, my husband and I have been married for 6 years, been together 13. And, like, you know, there's moments in any relationship where you have your tough times, and we have gratefully always gotten through them. and it's never been anything like life altering enough for the relationship to fall apart. But I've had those dreams where him and I left each other, and it was the worst feeling. I actually just had it a couple of nights ago. I woke up and he's like next to me, and I want to hug him so tight, even if like we went to bed kind of like, yeah, good night, you know? So the thought of that really weighed for me. And again, like what Tuc brought to it, and looking at him walking in the room and knowing I love this man, but I couldn't change this man for me, what I needed as a person. Because I maybe in my mind, I got healthy, you know, I wasn't codependent anymore, and I couldn't change this person I loved, even though I was like irrevocably in love with him for many years. You know, that's where the pain came from for me.
You know, it's so interesting because I kept thinking about, I mean, I know for me, I'm with my husband, we're together 18 years and married, I think 13 now, but we would not be where we are without those previous relationships. Like all of those relationships in that movie, those emotions all lead us to the place that we're supposed to be in today. Don't you all agree? Like it helps.
I don't know. I don't
like
know.
to know if I
because
find one.
I don't know, because hearing you guys talk about your relationships, I've been with my boyfriend for 6 years and married for 0 of them, and the recurring dream that I have, and I do have this recurring dream. We're at a crowded party and he always leaves me, and I can't find him, and it's very clear that he doesn't care that I can't find him. And I wake up angry at him, and he's right next to me. And you know, when you wake up next to somebody, you've had a bad dream, you're mad at them, and they have no idea why you're mad at them. So mine isn't as romantic as your guys.
Well, no, I've had the same dream as Adam, though, of that, like there's something, and then I roll over and he is still there. That is a scary dream to have. But
Well, I don't even call it dating anymore. I call it research for the sequel. That's all I'm doing.
Yeah, when you go on a date, Garrett, when you go on a date, do you talk about this movie that you made?
I know.
Because you shouldn't.
Yeah. No, not only shouldn't I really shouldn't show it to them.
No, you shouldn't.
Yeah, I've kind of learned that lesson over the past couple ones.
He's bored on the phone and hides it under the table. But I will say the dream helps, because it's like, it does help though, because it almost like in those moments of life, it does remind you like, okay, oh my God, no, the feelings for this person I love are under there. Like even through he didn't freaking make the bed again, you know, like, and so that's where the important you to me, and that's the heart of this movie again to me, and the heart of those scenes together. And I haven't seen them yet, or the movie. I know you sent them to me today, Garrett, but I didn't watch because I'm here filming. But I was, you know, always nervous about your work translating, and to hear the response from people so far, I'm excited. I'm very excited to see it. I really am.
I was just going to ask, you just answered the question, but I'm curious because Tuc, you've watched the movie.
Yes, I mean, in a rough cut state with Garrett, back and forth with notes and stuff. I haven't seen a final edit and sweetened and music and all that stuff, but yeah.
No, because I was going to ask if you and Andrew, like, will you watch it with Andrew together?
Oh yeah, Andrew's going to come with me to the premiere in San Diego, and
awesome.
He'll probably have notes, but I can't employ the notes because it's a movie.
I almost did a spit take right there. Like, oh my God, that's hilarious.
Well, I mean, it's pretty exciting that it's going to have its world premiere on August 22nd at Film Out San Diego.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to that. Yeah.
And everybody is coming. That's the crazy part. I mean, there's even a couple of actors who just have smaller roles. They're coming. The director of photography, Ozzy, is coming. The producers are coming. Everybody's going to be there. The cast is all going to be there. I'm just so thrilled for this.
I think the Q&A after the film is really going to be fascinating too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
know,
do too.
at
can't
a
wait to
gay
see-
film festival, talking about such a, a powerful topic. Relationships are really.
Well, I showed it to a test audience as we were finishing up just kind of the maybe second rough cut of, okay, this is kind of the way it looks. So we wanted to get some feedback. So I showed it to a small test audience. One gentleman in particular waited to the very end after everybody else that had seen it were talking to me on the way out. And he came up to me and he said, "You just put my entire dating career on film."
Hmm.
I was like, whoa, okay. That's when I really knew, we hit home with this. You know? So I'm excited to see
will
how
say
a
before
full
I-
audience reacts.
What'd you say, Adam?
Before I go, because I do have to run, guys.
Yeah.
I do have to run in a minute here. But not only am I excited to see it with all of you and an audience too, but I want to say, kudos to you, Garrett, because you were very collaborative in this whole effort. Like, obviously had a heavy load, and like they were working together the whole entire time, just enhancing everything based on who we were, based on things that you're out of your control, and the variables like come up on the day and it's different than you thought. There was just so much collaboration, and there wasn't one moment where Garrett, that I experienced, I was only there for a couple of days, had an ego about anything. Like, no, we're doing that. He had his vision, but he was very collaborative. I think that always really helps in indie filmmaking.
Well,
Tuck, you may
like
disagree,
this.
but I don't know.
I
No,
look at it
you're
this
right.
way. You don't go to a doctor's office and they're going to perform surgery on you, and you tell the doctor how to perform surgery. It's none of my business. I'm hiring you to do this. I want to see your skills, not mine.
No, but
I wrote
what
it.
a lot
That's it.
what a lot of first time filmmakers, I think a common mistake is that they feel like they have to guard their project and put forth confidence to show that they're the leader and say no. It's got to be like this. This is my vision. I'm holding true to my vision. And I understand, because I feel like I, as a younger person in this business, did stuff like that. But I think what you did a good job of, Garrett, was being open to other people's ideas without being defensive about it. And it did yield a better product. But I don't think that's common in a lot of first time filmmakers. So I do think you should pat yourself on the back a little bit there.
Got it.
Yeah.
Go right ahead. Adam, thank you so much for stopping by. I know you got to work. Oh, we
Awesome
can't hear
to
you.
see all three of you. I can't wait to.
We will see you next Friday, Adam.
See you, Adam.
Bye, Adam.
Can you?
Yeah.
Okay, bye. I guess, can you hear me?
You still look handsome, Adam. Go do
You
some
still
handsome
look good.
acting.
I love that guy. He's a good egg. He's one of the good ones. One of the good ones. Garrett, how did you come from comedy into this world now?
Well, I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in Acting and Directing. This was my world. I'm a theater guy. Then I got into comedy, and
how many years though? How many years have you been doing comedy now?
34 years.
I mean,
but I've worked with some of the greatest comedic minds of our generation. I mean, from Chris Rock to Kevin Hart to first person to headline Dave Chappelle to Matt Rife to on and on and on. I can list hundreds of comedians that I've worked with.
You were with Dave Chappelle.
Dave was at my club last night and the night before, and it's I'll be standing there talking to him, and he's a friend. I've known Dave 34 years. I took Dave to see Robin Hood Men in Tights. He was playing my club when it first came out, and he was like, "Gary, could you take me to the movie?" I'm like, "Sure." So who on this planet can say they took Dave Chappelle to see his very first movie? That's it. Me.
Dave Chappelle had never seen a movie before Robin Hood Men.
No,
his movie. His first movie. The first movie he ever made. And you're the second person to say, wait, he'd never seen a movie before?
Yeah, you gotta tell that story differently.
but I'll be standing there talking to him, and then you kind of remember, oh, I'm talking to one of the greatest comedic minds ever, not just a friend, because we're friends. We hang out. I leave tomorrow to go up to his place for summer camp. He does adult summer camp in Ohio. So we'll go canoeing down the river. There'll be barbecues, and then all 3 nights, these big outdoor shows. And I don't even know who the comedians are, but I mean, it's in the past, it's been everybody from Jeff Ross to David Letterman popped up, on and on and on. Jimmy Fallon.
Wasn't that filmed at some point? I feel like I saw.
Yeah. No, he's got the documentary. It's
I remember.
I'm in it briefly, but
I'm gonna have to go back and check
well,
it
I
out.
think it's just the side of my head eating a plate at a picnic is pretty much it.
That's funny. Tuc, many of your One Life fans are saying how much they miss David. You are reunited currently shooting The Rookie with Nathan Fillion. What's that been like?
It's weird because Nathan and I met when he and I were both starting out as actors in 1994. We both got on One Life to Live at the same time, and neither one of us had a lot of experience. And we became fast friends, and then we were roommates in a couple different houses. And then he went on and did, a bunch of TV stuff, and we've stayed friendly. And so it's weird when you show up and you have to play characters in front of each other, because all I see is him making mistakes. I'm like, you shouldn't say it like that. That doesn't sound right. And he's like, are you going to say it like that? Because that doesn't seem right. So I think it's very odd acting with friends. It's easy. I find it easier to act with people that I've never met. But at the same time, it's because it's also so much fun. And he and I have made a decades-long friendship of trying to make each other laugh. And suddenly he's playing a cop and I'm playing a military person in a dramatic scene. And you can't help but want to cross your eyes or try to make each other laugh. So how is it working with him? It's weird. It's fun, but it's weird.
That's wild. Garrett, if you're having trouble reconnecting, you might have to disconnect and come back on. Can you hear us?
Great. Let's talk about what I really think about him.
I will be right back. Oh, there I am.
Oh,
okay.
There he is. There he is.
My opportunity.
No, they can't talk about me.
You missed. Garrett, do you have another story in you? Have you written?
Next up is actually going to be a horror film, which Tuc doesn't know he's playing the sheriff. So get your sheriff costume ready.
Well, I've got the mustache to play a sheriff.
I was just going to say,
exactly.
That is so perfect for a horror movie.
Perfect. Perfect timing. And then my first novel that I wrote, it's actually it was a script that I wrote for Matt Rife when I was first managing him. And I've turned it into a novel now. It's called The Manager. It's in pre-sale right now and will officially come out the day Exit Interviews premieres in San Diego on August 22nd. So both a novel and a world premiere on the same night. So I'm pretty excited about that. And that one,
published author and a produced filmmaker all on the same day. That's amazing.
There you go.
Congratulations.
I know.
Well deserved.
That's pretty awesome. I mean, really, a major premiere and a book
on the same day. Well, I was a manager long enough to know how.
I was going to say maybe you should work a little harder.
I remember when Bernie Mac's show came out, his show came out and his book came out same day. Jennifer Lopez hosted Saturday Night Live and was the musical guest the night her album dropped. So, you're
following in good company. You're following a good company. Tuc, my husband and I were late comers to Paradise, but love the show. Tell us your wife, Sinatra, Julianne Nicholson, who I've loved, and her on Hacks is one of the funniest things if nobody's seen.
Isn't
Right?
she the greatest? Julianne
Yes.
Nicholson is so great. She won an Emmy on Mayor of Easttown, and I remember her from The Outsider and from August Osage County. And when I got cast to play her husband, I was like, that I just love her so much. She actually sort of feels familial. We started working together a year ago on season 1, and we just have sort of that shorthand. She feels like family somehow, like Cassie DePaiva from One Life to Live. She also feels like family for some reason. And so we just finished shooting season 2. I'm just recurring on there, so I have a handful of episodes. But Julianne is she's one of those actors that I know I'm better in the scenes that I'm in with her because she's so good. In fact, Erica Slezak said to me in the 90s, when you submit a tape to be considered for the daytime Emmys, you have to consider the other person who's in the scene with you. And I wasn't aware of that. She said that's actually a really important thing to do. Because working with someone who's better than you is like playing tennis with someone who's better at playing tennis than you. It just it ups your game. And Julianne Nicholson ups my game. And I am a big fan of hers. And now we've become friends, and I feel so lucky. And she's been over to our house and met Andrew and the kids. And so there's more coming up in season 2. Season 2 is even bigger than season 1. It looks like they put a lot more money into it. The scope of what we do in season 2 is pretty incredible.
Oh, wow. I love that. Speaking of your kids, they are going to be teenagers in December. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. They will be 13 years old in December. They're going to go into 7th grade. They still love us. They still say, "I love you."
That's
which
a good
is so
thing.
great. I've even said, apparently you're going to turn on us. You're going to stop liking us. You're going to be mean. Can we just skip that chapter and just keep loving each other? And they've said, "Okay, Dad." We'll see how that goes. But we do talk about it. We do talk about the teens can become sullen, and now that since we've addressed it, can we maybe just skirt it?
Well, I know I think we've talked about it before. You're very vocal about what's going on in our world, and I loved that there was a photo of you and your son at the No Kings rally. How do you talk to them? I mean, because he's holding up a sign. How do you talk to them, and how are they seeing? We all are viewing the world in a certain way, and are they feeling that themselves?
Yeah, I always made a point of talking to my kids about hot topics. Their dad's gay. They were born through surrogacy, racism, before they understood what it was, so that they would have no memory of having an awkward conversation. And that's always paid off. I remember one day we sat down and I said, "You're not going to get in trouble, but I want to tell me every dirty word you know." And we went around and we each said every dirty word we could think of, and we talked about them. And they understand what surrogacy is, and they understand. I don't. I'm an alcoholic, and I've been sober for 6 years, and they understand that their dad is allergic to alcohol, and that that's an issue that's in our family. And so we talk about these hot topic things before they naturally come up. Like, I sort of find ways to bring them up, and it's always been a really smooth road to talk about those things when it's a conscious choice to talk about them. So, to your point about our current political climate, I think all kids hear about what they think of our current political leader through the lens of how their parent thinks of it. So you can't really avoid that. But I try to let them. I say, "Here's what's happening. Here's what's happening. What do you think about that?" I'm sure I probably steer them towards my own opinion a little bit because I'm not sure how to not do that. But I'd say they're fairly politically aware. They're not overly politically aware. But
they are
they
also
did make their
hearing
own
voices.
signs. I didn't tell them what to put on those signs.
That's amazing.
And I can't remember what Curtis wrote on his, but it's on that Instagram picture.
Yeah, I'm not. It was exactly how I feel.
Yeah, it was very pointed, and he came up with it.
Yes,
but they participated, and
you might be leading them to some degree, but they also, as being kids, you hear so many other things in the world. So, I do think kids are smart enough these days to make an opinion. That idea of asking them about curse words, did that come from somewhere? Or I love that. Did you?
I kind of do the exact opposite of what my parents would have done. My parents were great. I had a great childhood, but we didn't talk about a lot of stuff. And so I try to talk to my kids almost like a peer to make it fun.
Well, my question is, when you had that conversation, how many dirty words did they teach you?
That's a comedian right there.
They knew more than I thought.
They know
they
them
would.
all.
But also it brings them into the conversation because I swim, and so my kids know that I'm allergic to alcohol. But when I swim, I often get water in an ear, and I take a cap full of rubbing alcohol and I pour it in my ear because it dries out my ear. And my son saw me do that when he was probably 5, and he panicked. And he said, "You can't put alcohol in your body." And I said, "It doesn't really work that way." But he's in on the conversation. It keeps me accountable too. He said the same thing about champagne dressing. Our favorite dressing is Gerard's champagne vinaigrette. And he's like, "You can't have that. There's champagne in it." It's just nice to have them part of the conversation rather than skirting the conversation.
Well, it doesn't make those topics scary if you talk about them early.
Yeah,
I think that's a brilliant way to educate anybody. Really,
will you let my kids know that you think I'm brilliant? Because that would go a lot. That would really be helpful to me.
Absolutely. Well, Garrett's sister says his novel is a great story. It's going to make a great movie too. And I think that plays Robert's sister in the movie. Am I correct?
Yes, my sister Deborah.
Yep.
And what's funny is Summer Menke, who played Deborah. There's one point the way she said goodbye to him at one point. She's like, "Bye, little brother." It sounded just like my sister. I'm like, and I didn't coach her on any of that. I was like, that's crazy how well she nailed the voice. But a lot of that stuff. I mean, my typical day is I'll wake up, go work out, come back up and make a smoothie. And I always call her when I make a smoothie and just have the phone on speakerphone, just like Robert did throughout the whole movie. And that line, I did it today when I was talking to her. I'm like, hold on. And then blend the smoothie, and then I pour, and then go ahead.
My sister would have hung up the second time I tried to do that. Well, before I let you go, finish this sentence. Exit Interviews is ultimately about?
It's ultimately about all of us and how we handle our own emotions and how we handle relationships with other people. It's a mirror for all of us.
Exit Interviews is ultimately about making peace with the decisions you've made in the past.
Beautiful.
And scene.
I can't wait to hear about the premiere. Can't wait. We'll
look forward to it.
Have a great showing, and thank you so much for doing this. We will keep everybody informed when there's more to share about the film's release.
Thank you so much, Alan. It's always nice talking to you.
You as well, Tuc. Garrett, pleasure. Keep in touch.
All right. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye. Thanks, everybody. Thank you to Tuc Watkins and Garrett Abdo for being here today and talking about their new film, Exit Interviews. Real life couple Susan Walters and Lyndon Ashby will join me live on Monday, August 18th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. We are going to talk about Young and the Restless, their Emmy nominations, how they met on Loving, their work behind the camera, and life off screen. If you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, you can do so down below. Turn on the notifications for reminders of all upcoming shows. And if you'd like to stream audio versions, just search The Locker Room on your favorite podcast app. Have a great weekend, everybody, and I will see you on Monday.